We'd like to welcome you to our current event and weekly Bible study for September 13th, 2009. And today we're going to be doing, I think this is just going to be one part, a study on injectable microchips and how this may play into the swine flu vaccinations. And I know I've done a lot of teachings on this lately, but a lot of this information is breaking news that I'm finding out on a week-to-week basis, and it's just not something I can, in good conscience, let slide for another month before I get it out. Because if let's say mandatory swine flu vaccinations were imposed, or if we had a H1N1 global pandemic, one of the first things they may do is shut down the internet or shut down a lot of the communications. So this is something I feel like that we need to address, and this is just going to be one more reason to be very apprehensive about this whole coming vaccination program that they're trying to implement. The first article, and what I'm going to do is build a foundation upon the last article that I'm going to be reading, which is actually an interview with a doctor. But we're going to build a foundation and let you know that this is actually, the technology has been available for a long time in order to implement this. The first one is from World Daily Net. This is August 22nd, 2009, this year. It's entitled, Life with Big Brother, the Next Step in the H1N1 Scare, Microchip Implants. Company developing the under-the-skin devices to detect biothreats. Now, I've touched on this in times past, but we're gonna just devote this whole study, and this is some new information that we've learned here. This starts out by saying a Florida-based company that boasts selling the world's first and only federally approved radio microchip for implanting in humans is now turning its development branch toward, quote, emergency preparedness, hoping to produce an implant that can automatically detect in its host's bloodstream the presence of swine flu or other viruses deemed a biothreat. Now, I talked about this a long time ago when I did the avian flu tour back in 2005. This technology's been available, and it's just I wanted just to let you know that this is something that's been around for a while. It's just the implementation of it hasn't occurred actually as of yet. Now, it goes on to say Verichip Corporation currently sells a small under-the-skin radio frequency identifier capsule, or RFID, that patients can opt to have implanted, containing a number computer linked to their medical records, enabling doctors with a special reader to access the information even if the patient is unconscious or unidentified. It's the very same concept that they're using pretty much in the animals, where they're tagging the animals, and then if the animal gets away, if they're chipped, they can scan them with that thing and, find Fluffy, and then Fluffy's okay. But they're wanting to do pretty much the same thing to humans, obviously, and how this, ultimately we're going to have the mark of the beast, and I've done several studies on the mark, and if you want to access those, just go up to my keyword search box on Sermon Audio, under Scott A. Johnson and Sermon Audio, sermonaudio.com, and just key in the word mark, M-A-R-K, and you'll find the teachings. They'll come up there. Now, also, the teachings, all of the teachings for Sermon Audio are also up on the contendingfortruth.com website, the new website that we've got now, and they're not searchable like they are up on Sermon Audio, but they are up there. If you go to the Contending for Truth in the left-hand upper corner, you'll see a tab that says Sermon Audio, and all the teachings are there, every one of them. So the website's getting better and better every week. Thanks to Tim, a Christian brother that put that up for me. And let's go further. So, okay, so this RFID, the company boasts that its microchip, roughly the size of a grain of rice, is the only such implant approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Now, these implants, the people that have got them, many of the people that get these come down with cancer. They come down with tumors. There's a lot of side effects of these implants. And it's probably the Lord's judgment, trying to warn people about these things. But there's been a lot of side effects. Catherine Albrecht has reported on this. She's the author of Spy Chips, I believe. She's got some really great information on that. If you look her up, Spy Chips, Catherine Albrecht on the internet. I'm not 100% sure what her website is, but she's probably the definitive expert on that particular subject. And then it goes on to say, but Verichip has also turned its attention to other uses for the technology, including microchips that may be used to tag and log human remains after disaster, and implants the company hopes will be able to warn if their host is infected with the H1N1 swine flu virus. The H5N1 bird flu virus or other pandemic agents also that are deemed to be what they call a biothreat. Verichip is working with a Minnesota company, Receptors LLC, to develop the virus detection technology. And again, it's already been developed. They're just saying this essentially because we've known about this technology for quite some time. Now, Scott Silverman, who is I believe he's the chairman. He's the chairman of Verichip, says, as we continue to build on our partnership with Receptors LLC, LLC means Limited Liability Corporation, which started with the development of a glucose-sensing RFID implantable microchip, which would be, I would imagine, for diabetic patients. It can sense the glucose levels in your bloodstream. So if they get out of whack, the chip notifies you or whatever. Going further, it says, we are moving beyond patient identification to sensors that can detect and identify illnesses and viruses such as influenza. This is an exciting next step for the future of our healthcare division. And Verichip, they're the ones that originally came out with the Digital Angel microchip. They're the ones that a lot of people have really from the beginning. Many actual Christians have identified them as most likely the ones that will produce the mark of the beast. Whether that happens, hard to say for sure, but they're probably going to play, if not the major part in it, they're going to play a big part in it. I can't see them being out of the loop because they've been around for a while now and seem to be on the forefront. According to a joint white paper released earlier this year by both companies, and the white paper is called An Integrated Sensor System for the Detection of Biothreats from Pandemics to Emerging Diseases to Bioterrorism, the researchers' goal is to transform existing glucose detection technology into pinpointing viruses instead. Then couple it with the in vivo, meaning planted inside a living organism, microchip that can alert others of the virus's presence. See, they're going to come out with a lot of great excuses for you to get chipped. Oh, we'll be able to detect the H1N1 in, a quarter of the time that it's going to take if you try to, do it. Let's say you want to go to your doctor and get tested and all these other things. You'll know a lot quicker, so we'll have a lot better chance of saving your life if you do contract it. And if, let's say, it comes out and starts killing people by the millions. Okay, now I'm talking the highly modified, mutated version that we haven't seen yet. Because if we had seen it, we would have some type of worldwide pandemic going on. But most likely that's only going to occur in the vaccinated populations. And we've talked about that. And I've done probably, this is I think around my 10th teaching I've done on this in the last 3 months. And that 3 to 4 months, done about 10 teachings on this whole subject of the swine flu, the forced vaccinations, these types of things. People will be highly motivated to do whatever it takes to save their skin when this stuff all starts going down. I mean, that survival instinct's going to kick in people that would have never ever gotten, even thought about getting microchipped will step up to the plate, most likely. Now, we're going to see that this may be built into the shots, and people may not even know about it to a certain extent. It's not going to be built in like this type of microchip, where these types of microchips, I believe, are going to be able to do more than what we're going to talk about later in this discussion, because they're bigger. You can fit more information in them. But we'll get into that in a little later. And Taylor just asked, is this the mark of the beast? I've had a lot of people ask me that. No, this is not the mark of the beast.